Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Layla Dutois, Sustainability Manager at Canary Wharf Contractors. I hope you would agree with me when I say sustainability is simple and there's no need to overthink it. Over the next 20 minutes or so, I want to convey my thoughts on this new age of sustainability, the challenges this brings, and whilst many businesses and organisations will have sustainability policies, procedures and processes in place, I want to focus on how individuals can develop themselves to understand how we can all be leaders or influencers in sustainability, despite coming from different backgrounds or by carrying out different job roles. Rumour has it from my parents that I was always into the environment. I used to help my parents out in the garden. I used to love smelling all the flowers, and I got excited when new buds came to bloom. I always wanted to play outside, either in the garden or local parks. It seemed like I was my happiest when I was outside. This is also me. Aged 12, and whilst not consciously understanding implications of climate change at that age, I loved animals. Here I am, a budding young farmer who spent every opportunity during weekends in the outdoors, in fresh air, enjoying nature and the wealth of biodiversity this planet brought, just generally connecting with the natural world. Well, I'm not so sure I understood what biodiversity meant at that age, however. Fast forwarding to now, Sustainability Manager at Canary Wharf Contractors, I manage the Wood Wharf project, a mixed development from Canary Wharf Group with nearly 3 million square foot of mixed-use space, including high-quality commercial office space, shops, restaurants and community uses, a school, medical centre, and more than 3,000 new homes. So, why sustainability seemed to be the right thing to do? This is the Blue Marble picture, an iconic image of Earth taken on December the 7th, 1972, a distance of about 29,000 kilometres, 18,000 miles, from the planet's surface, taken by the crew of the final Apollo mission. One of the most defining images of the 20th century, it gave humankind a new perspective of our planet, seen all at once against the backdrop of space, immense, beautiful and precarious. Possibly one of the most reproduced images, it even has its own Facebook page. This photograph helped catalyse an emerging environmental awareness, showing the Earth's fragility and vulnerability. It sparked a new awareness of Earth as a fragile sphere of dazzling beauty, floating alone in a dangerous void, worthy of careful stewardship. It inspired young scientists to go on to investigate climate change, forecast weather, and so much more. This is our planet, and it was this picture which reminded the whole world that we needed to protect the only planet we have. A picture of the Earth now, nearly 50 years on, shows how different it looks to that beautiful blue marble. It shows how our planet has been altered by land use, human activities and weather phenomena, climate change in essence. Well, I think you'd have to probably live on Mars not to understand the devastating effects climate change is having. It's hard not to see that we are a growing population, with an expectation that we'll need 2 planets' worth of resources by 2030 to meet global consumption, and the trajectory of the planet's temperature to warm by 3 degrees by 2100. It is our duty to act and all work together to tackle this climate emergency we have found ourselves in. Evidence shows that human activity and our use of fuels like petrol, diesel, gas and oil is highly likely to be the main cause of global warming. In 2019, the UK government pledged a new target for greenhouse gas emissions in the UK to be cut to 0 by 2050. The UK already had a target under the Climate Change Act to reduce emissions by 80%, but the tougher net zero goal demonstrates the urgency required in order to keep temperatures below a 1.5 degree rise, a threshold considered dangerous for climate change. According to the United Nations, 68% of the world's population is projected to live in urban areas, putting huge pressure on decision makers globally to develop cities that drive innovation and productivity whilst dramatically reducing carbon footprint. Wood Wharf, the project I mentioned I work on, is leading by example on how we at Canary Wharf are thinking of the future and working to standards and requirements to achieve the stringent goals we have set ourselves. Canary Wharf's development started in the 1980s. Prior to this, between 1802 and the late 1980s, it was a part of the Isle of Dogs, Limehouse and Poplar, and was one of the busiest docks in the world, trading as West India Dock Company. After the docks closed in 1980, the British government adopted policies to stimulate redevelopment in the area, and the development of Canary Wharf began. The local community at that time, however, saw the docks close, jobs disappear, and they felt like they had been forgotten about by society. Canary Wharf, however, took on that challenge to create a new heart for the local economy and the community, which would have a positive impact on both the economic and social side. For 30 years, Canary Wharf's thinking was set on the future. We achieved what we set out to do. With achievements across all sustainability areas, economic, social and environmental, blending in technology, biodiversity, culture and social value, whilst making it a great name in terms of placemaking and increased transport accessibility, this thirst to create sustainable development continued in the form of Wood Wharf. Canary Wharf understands why we need to act on the climate, but also focus on the how we can practically achieve change. To that degree, the latest 2020 sustainability report defines how together we can achieve our 2030 strategic goals. As our executive chairman stated, we are proud of our achievements. There are many in this report, but we are not standing still. We know there's more to do, and in this activity we are seriously engaged. It is only through collaboration and teamwork that we can achieve our goals, and it is this approach that has attracted new customers and continues to enhance our experience of established community. The future is now, so we can only strive to making sustainability real by all working together. Yes, we have targets such as 100% renewable electricity across all our projects and managed areas since 2012, but we have integrated the Sustainable Development Goals into our strategy, focusing on the goals that will make a significant impact across 4 key areas: climate action, beyond zero waste, well-being and biodiversity, and responsible business. We're on our way to developing a net zero pathway by the end of this year, and we recently pledged to reduce direct emissions by 65% by 2030, becoming the first commercial district in the world to commit to science-based targets for reducing carbon emissions. Whilst companies and organisations such as Canary Wharf can set policies and strategies in place, this can all feel very high level. And I've often pondered throughout my career, how can we all play our part in sustainability, and how can I, little old me, make a difference in the big bad world? I bet if we were in Kensington and I asked the room how many people here listening to this talk thinks they considered themselves to be a manager, I would get a reasonable number of hands go up. If I were to, however, ask who is a leader, I'm sure I wouldn't get as many show their hands. The fact of the matter is, everyone in their room should be putting their hands up. It's important to understand we are all leaders. We are all leaders and can influence others to drive sustainability through our organisations, but equally as importantly through our own personal life journeys. Managers can be seen to manage the status quo, but leaders are the one that actually drives change. And we can all drive sustainability despite our level of seniority or position within any company. Being approachable, inspiring, passionate, enthusiastic, we can demystify and simplify sustainability strategies through means of storytelling, simply highlighting what it is we are set out to achieve, so it's understandable for everyone. Well, actually, breaking down sustainability is what it's all about is quite simple. I probably don't need to remind you of the definition. It's about acting in a way that ensures future generations have the natural resources available to live in an equal, if not better way of life than of today's generation. So why is 2020 seen to be the magical year of sustainability? 2019 saw some pretty catastrophic environmental disasters across the globe, which were undoubtedly linked to climate change. Extreme weather events such as heavy storms and record-breaking heats led to extreme flooding and bushfires seen in America and Australia. Even here in the UK, we experienced such events, with the sixth report of the State of the UK Climate Series confirming that 2019 was the 12th warmest year in a series from 1884, with record high temperatures created. Climate change was probably more than ever in the headlines, not only due to the weather events, but also due to the powerful and demonstrable protests from Extinction Rebellion and the schools' climate strikes, which involved over 1.4 million people worldwide. Greta Thunberg's speech to the World Economic Forum in 2019 started with a phrase, "Our house is on fire," was a complete turning point. On the back of all this, the UK declared a climate change emergency and changed the target from reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 80% by the year 2050 to now a target of reaching net zero emissions. This year, we really started to see some positive change. Discussions around the Environment Bill from 2019 led it to be reintroduced and published earlier this year, giving new powers to the Secretary of State to create legislation on various environmental issues. Although still criticised for not being powerful enough, it is still the single biggest piece of environmental legislation since the Climate Change Act of 2008, and it is still seen to be a step forward in the right direction in trying to combat this climate emergency. Unfortunately, COVID-19 hit us all hard earlier in the year and still remains to be at the forefront of our conversations. It's one of the reasons why I can't meet you lovely people at Kensington, but instead virtually from the comfort of my dining room. It also forced the postponement of COP26, UN Climate Change Conference. However, a positive spin from this awful virus is that minds have become refocused on sustainability. The COVID crisis forced many of us to stay and work at home, which, as studies have shown, have decreased air pollution levels due to the reduced amounts of pollutant vehicles on the roads. And also there's been an increased and renewed love for nature. It's forced us to live differently, but it's also forced us to think differently about how we live, from energy consumption in our homes to how we have quite a wasteful and throwaway culture. We have absolutely an unprecedented opportunity, both from a business sense and an individual leadership sense, to come back greener and smarter. Innovation that disrupts businesses that have been with us for centuries, but many future examples will be driven by the sustainability challenges the world faces. Disruptive innovations have transformed society through the ages, from the horse-drawn plough to the first steam engine, to the personal computer, and through to the smartphone. They've improved our lives in all sorts of ways, but the impacts can be profound, often in ways that are quite unexpected. Renewable energy, along with energy efficiency and energy storage, has started to usurp the fossil fuels industry. This is just one example of how sustainability is now the driving force for the emergence of many disruptive technologies. Other technologies that will have similar effects, I'm sure, include 3D printing, electric vehicles, and fuel cells. Sustainability is one of the main drivers of disruption today because the world needs to deal with environmental and social issues, such as resource scarcity, air and water pollution, and climate change, only but a few I mentioned earlier. Companies and investors need to be prepared for these changes, or it will cost them. Us, mortal individuals who make up these companies, have an equal part to play in all this through our leadership capabilities. Even if you're not in the sustainability field within your career in these current climes, it's important to appreciate the real environment around us and to include ourselves within it. Everything around us relates to sustainability, and we absolutely all have a part to play to build a better world for ourselves. I've highlighted the reasons why this planet is in need of help. We all collaboratively, through our organisations and individually, need to lead the change and be innovative. Within the built environment industry, having an increasing critical role to step forward and make a positive contribution on the road to carbon neutrality. None of us should be too scared to try and be transformative, or to be too scared to be radical in our opinions or thought processes. Be curious. Sustainability is often about pushing boundaries and doing things that you haven't done before. Individually, we need to understand what excites or sparks us so we can positively impact others to feel the same and to bring the best out of others. We need to remember that we are stewards of the world we live in. Our actions today will impact future generations, and we will be judged by that. A couple of months ago, my boyfriend very aptly made this analogy of my leadership skills to that of the strawberry plants. In order to grow, established strawberry plants will send out multiple runners along the soil surface. Over a few weeks, each runner grows a tiny plant at the end, which roots and can be grown to produce new plants, as shown on this picture. I recently moved into a new property at the beginning of this year in a completely new area to where I had been living before. I wanted to understand how best I could get myself involved in community groups and to interact with like-minded people who cared about environmental sustainability issues. So I reached out to a few people through a social media platform to discuss the topic of waste management that affected us all. My local authority is not considered to be great at managing residential waste. Similar to that of a strawberry plant, I wanted to grow. I wanted to spread my roots and enlarge my sphere of influence around new people, to change behaviours and to drive sustainability change across the borough. Disrupting the status quo, I wanted to build a network and collaborate. Most importantly, I wanted to challenge myself and probably do something that was way out of my comfort zone. Fast forwarding a couple of months, I and 2 others have set up an Environmental Alliance network to support, unite and energise community members in the borough, to share information and to collaborate with the local community and the local authority, to reduce the borough's environmental impact in order to make it a greener, healthier and sustainable place to live. Walking the talk isn't easy. Sometimes it means overhauling decades-old operational systems or tracing sustainability issues down the supply chain and asking people on the other side of the world, or even company, to change their behaviour. But relentless commitment to drive positive action, even starting out individually or within a small group, can transform the way a whole industry does business. If we care about our planet and its future, conservation of the planet's biodiversity and the future generations who will be living on this planet, we therefore have a moral duty to influence change. Within a business culture, a strong mission statement will keep the company and those who can influence and drive change to establish goals and to help those to stay aligned when facing tough decisions. It is important, however, to discover who you are as a leader and draw on your own strengths to influence others and to grow the leader within yourself. Discovering who you are as a leader, your own purpose, values and vision, how you can affect others, your style, preferences, strengths and challenges, it all starts with you. Each leader needs to know what ripple effect they're having on their immediate sphere of influence. And since everybody has their own unique ripple, you need to understand these to lead effectively. We all have the chance to inspire and empower our colleagues to lead alongside us, enabling the ripple effect to transform peers, teams, networks, and organisations. Equally as important, however, it is important to understand how responsive your organisation is to change or to embrace innovative solutions, therefore giving you the context to understand what you may or not be able to achieve. You may have heard this before, but it really resonated and struck with me the first time I heard it. For me, this picture depicts and sums up living, breathing, and working sustainably, collaboratively. We all live on planet Earth. We are all in this together and we can all play our part in sustainability. We may not all look the same or dress the same, but you can find others who have the same sustainability purpose, the same values and beliefs, and who you'll be able to count upon. Collectively as a group, it is then easier to deliver your organisation's sustainability messaging and values, all with friends and family in a collaborative way. Understand what yours and others' superpowers are to tackle your own individual and organisation's sustainability journeys, and ultimately the bigger picture of climate change together. Go find your tribe. Thank you.